than our jobs, more important and necessary than the air we breathe. We must learn God's holy commandments, Christ's commandments. He only has two. Love thy neighbor as thyself. And what's the second one? I forgot. Does anybody know? Exactly. Love the Lord thy God with all thy mind, all thy heart, and all thy soul. When we fall down wounded, we have Christ in the chalice, the Eucharist, the communion that we receive on Sundays. That's why we strive to take that communion every Sunday, or as much as we can. And let us not forget that we're all warriors who wear the exact same uniform, that baptismal garment. Brothers and sisters, today we're reminded to emulate Saint Elias and his life. But we don't emulate his fear, because we hear a lot about how fearful he was of the people, the king, his wife, Jezebel. We hear all this stuff going, the people were fighting against him, and he was scared, and I'm sure we would be too. But we don't hone in on that. What we really study, what we really emulate is his strength. This is a man with great strength, with great fervor towards God, and because of this, he could pray and make that which was impossible happen. And this is why we celebrate the saints. They're all around us. We should memorize their lives. George, the trophy bearer, you should memorize his life. St. Elizabeth, the mother of St. John, you should memorize her life. Nicodemus, you should memorize his life. Everybody should memorize their saint's life, because in the life of the saint of the name that you're given, you are to emulate their life, so that we can gain salvation. And brothers and sisters, life in the Christian church is hard. It is the hardest faith ever conceived. But we know that it can be done because we look at the people around us, our family, the saints. They've already done it. They weren't born holy. They weren't born at the footstool of Christ. They had to work as hard as we do to gain that salvation. And they help to lift us up in our struggles. Like I said before, it's not easy. And our purpose is to imitate Christ and to imitate our saints. That is our destiny, to follow the commandments. We don't just do things to do them. We don't come to church because it makes us feel good, or because it makes us feel like we're a better Christian, or because it's Sunday and that's what you do. We come to church because we love the Lord. And I'll be the first to admit, there are some Sundays I just don't want to be here. I don't want to serve. I don't want to take communion. But I do. And St. Porphyrius, now that I'm thinking of it, in his book, Wounded by Love, it's a very good book, everybody should buy it. He says that when we don't want to be in church, when we don't want to serve at the altar, when we don't want to sing in the choir, when we don't want to give our time to God, that is the time that we should. Because that is when we're fighting a demon. And the demon is trying to stop us from coming into church, and to partaking of the mysteries of Christ, and to praying to God. And physically, we fight that by making ourselves go. It's hard, but we all go through it. You're not alone. We've all been through everything, all together. And that's why we don't judge. We don't judge each other, because I could be going through something, and you could be going through something, and you could be going through something even more terrible than I am, but I think my little world revolves around me. And that's the way we think. But it's kind of ridiculous, because my job is to focus on the altar, is to focus on the icons, to focus on the prayers that are being said by the deacon and by the priest, not by what somebody is wearing or what they're doing, and how come they're not standing at the proper time and they're not crossing themselves right. Why aren't they have their head covered? Why do they? Why did he wear shorts? None of that matters. Because our focus should be not on judging other people, but by emulating Christ. And Christ never judged anyone. The saints never judged anyone, even when most of the saints we have, were killed, brutally killed. We're not going to go into it, but you can read the Synaxarion. But we have to emulate their lives in such